we'll start with our consent agenda. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the consent agenda as presented, including approval of minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting on April 17th, 2023, approval of the proposed accounts for payment, approval of budgetary receipts and expenditures for April 2023, approval of the Committee of the Whole minutes for April 27th, 2023, approval of option students, approval of contracts for the 2023-2024 school year, including Dennis Dodge, High School Resource, Brandel Rickenberg, High School Math, Lauren Moncrief, 3rd grade at Paddock Lane.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Jason, do you have a treasurer's report?
I do. Just a brief treasurer's report. For the month of April, expenses payroll was $1,779,444.41. Bills for the month were $662,059.26, which brought total expenditures to $2,441,503.69. Revenue for the month of April was $2,370,966. And 94 cents, and pardon me, that was for April. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, outstanding recognition, Employee of the Month, Dr. Nielsen.
I am going to turn this over to Mr. Andrew Hakey tonight, so I'm going to ask him to come on up.
All right, well, I had to tell a little white lie. Cody, you need to come up here.
Oh.
I told her she was coming to the board meeting
Hey.
I told her she was coming to the board meeting to talk about our ICU program that we've had at the middle school, which is two of these people here. Cody and Karen are a huge part of that success, but Cody was nominated as the May Employee of the Month by a group of teachers, and I also could not second it anymore. So I'll read what the entry had said. Cody is a paraeducator in our Alternative Learning Center at Beatrice Middle School. From the moment Cody was first hired, she hit the ground running. She goes above and beyond to help students reach their full potential by being able to strike a balance between building a great relationship with students and holding them accountable at the same time. Cody holds several responsibilities at BMS. She manages our house system school store, does the ordering for items that students buy with their house points. She is a 7th grade lifeguard that makes daily contact with students that are on our ICU list and assigns academic interventions to those students. She provides individual and small group instructions for students that are behind with their assignments. Lastly, she provides behavioral support for students that have difficulty in the regular classroom setting. This position was redesigned in the 22-23 school year in an effort to increase our ability to provide academic support to students that need it while continuing to provide behavioral support. We knew the person that filled this position would need to build strong relationships with students, have a personality that students will work for, but yet be able to be firm when needed, and have an understanding of the needs of students in today's educational environment. Cody fits all these characteristics and has truly been a wonderful addition to Beatrice Middle School. We would not be able to meet the individual needs of our students without Mrs. Muir in our school. Call her Miss Cody. So that's kind of odd for us.
I know, yeah.
We'd like to congratulate Miss Cody, your May's Employee of the Month.
And we need a picture. You guys can come up and get the picture too. Say cheese. Cheese. Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay.
Congratulations, Cody. Next up, Business Friend of the Month, Mr. Alexander.
Okay. Phil and Karen, will you come up and join me please in the front? Nice to meet you, Cody. Thank you, thanks for coming. All right. Well, as you know, we are here at Beatrice Public Schools. We've started the tradition now of recognizing a Business Friend of the Month. And we are very honored tonight to have Phil and Karen Dittbrenner here from Mule Sporting Goods as our Business Friend of the Month. Besides outfitting us all in terrific Beatrice black and orange school apparel, they do a tremendous amount of things for our kids and our coaches and all involved at our school that we'd like to highlight and thank them for. Last year, we were in the process of having, every year we have a welcome back for the Trailblazer Conference coaches, and each school is asked to get a sponsor, and I asked Phil and Karen if Ewell's would mind being our sponsor for that event, and they chipped in and helped us pay for that meal for our coaches that were coming back that fall. So that's just one example of many, but I also asked principals to write some of the things that they do, and one of the principals wrote, Phil has been great in getting the house shirts ready for Paddock Lane. When we purchased new shirts last year for all of the house members, he added the sponsorship of businesses on the shirts at no extra charge. He has also made additional shirts with short notice, and Paddock Lane is very grateful for all of Phil's support through Ewell's in our house program. Ewell's has also been instrumental in the success of the BMS, Beatrice Middle School House System. Each year they make house shirts for our students and staff. This year they also made stocking hats and water bottles to put in our school store for students to purchase with their house points. So Beatrice Middle School is very fortunate to have the partnership with Dittbrenners and Ewell's. When any apparel need arises, they're eager to find a way to help us out. We could not do what we do on a daily basis without people like you supporting us from behind. And your business, we are greatly fortunate to have in town that creates all of the apparel we need to represent our school. But we're very fortunate to have you as people of business in our town and people in our school system that support us. So thank you very much on behalf of the entire staff.
Thank you, John. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And you're welcome to stay, but you sure don't have to.
We're gonna go to high school for our class.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next up, student recognition, and first we have All-State Basketball, and I believe Danielle will
Yeah.
present.
Maddie, will you come up here? I am honored to be here tonight on behalf of the high school staff and Mr. Brown to recognize Addie Hatcliffe. She was selected to All-State second team. Want to highlight a couple other things from Addie's season. She was first team all-conference. She hit the top 7 for most threes made in a season in school history, and also led the team in points, steals, deflections, 3-point shooting percentage, and free throw percentage this year. Addie's a great contributor to our team. We're excited we get her back for another year, and we just want to congratulate her. Mr. Doyle.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job. All right, next up, Student Board of Education member.
Hey, Riley, your turn down in front.
Me?
This is Maddie next year,
I
isn't
know.
it? I bothered her this morning, you know. You going to the school board or anything?
Uh-huh. She probably was not.
I tell you what, folks, every year it seems like we have such a great representative from our student body to be part of our school board and come and be part of everything that happens. And it's a commitment on their part, because not only are they doing this, but I see Riley probably at more events than I go to, or the ones I go to, and I see her at even more than that. She's involved, She's part of our school system, and she's also a leader, which is what this is all about. And she's learning now what it's like to lead as a school board member. So, to be honest, Riley, I don't know if thank you is enough to say for agreeing to be here every school board meeting one night out of the month. But we sure are thankful that you're here and that you've been willing to serve and be part of us. Your monthly updates have been exceptional. We know the time that it takes you to collect all that information, and you deliver it with poise and confidence that we appreciate and will take you far in your next endeavors in life. Thank you for your commitment to be a role model as well to our younger students. We want you to know that we wish you the absolute best next year, whatever it is you do, but we have appreciated you greatly being a part of all of us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's get a picture. Eric, let's stand there. Eric, stay down there.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
you guys.
All right, thank you, Riley. Well, we'll just move right into information, and you're up.
Perfect. Thank you so much again. That means a lot to me. At the preschool, students have had a great time attending Roundup and Move Up Day. Wednesday is their family picnic in the park, and the preschool has had a great year with so much growth. The end of the year is always hard to see them move on to kindergarten. For Paddock Lane staff, May started off with lots of food. They all enjoyed lunch from the Board of Education on Wednesday, followed by another lunch courtesy of the support staff on Tuesday. Last Friday, the kindergarten roundup was a success. There are currently 64 children registered for Paddock Lane for the next fall. Lots of events coming up for the elementary students, including field trips to the zoo, walk the track day, move up day, recognition day, and elementary track and field day. Lincoln and Studdard will also have lots of field trips. 5th grade recognition, walk the track, track and field day, a plant sale, and skating parties, all while finishing out the year on a high note. For the middle school, both 7th and 8th grade girls track teams won the Trailblazer Conference track meet. The 8th grade boys also won conference, and the 7th grade boys placed 3rd. The middle school has several events coming up to finish the year. 8th graders travel to the Homestead National Monument next week for a bunch of hands-on experiments, as well as the Gage County Courthouse to conduct a mock trial with a judge sitting in. They will crown their house champion at the end of the day on Friday. At the high school, Honors Night took place last Saturday with a grand total of 63 seniors awarding scholarships. Graduation creeps up, taking place on the 21st in the Ozone. Leadership organized an end of the school year event called Before Summer Blast, which was a big hit. The event had many games in the House of Orange, and High School Musical premiered in the gym afterwards. The baseball team is headed up to the state tournament this Saturday at Warner Park. Track has districts tomorrow in Waverly, and tennis, track, and golf's state tournament will take place next week. Finals testing is starting up, and the last music concert takes place tonight in the Hevelon.
All right, thank you, Riley. Next, we will have board reports. We'll start with Committee of the Whole. Doris.
The Board of Education Committee of the Whole meeting was held on Thursday, April 27th, 2023. The first thing on the agenda was the high school strategic planning site update, and Mr. Suter shared information on the high school's updated school improvement process and the 5 sub-teams which have worked through this new process, which includes involvement by all teachers. And he highlighted the following areas: PBIS, which included diverse peer roundtable groups, and they developed a system to reward students. Safe, secure school, they created a student ID system, a system that ensures integrity of the school safety practices. PLCs, they're a reflection on learning walks. Career technical education developed multimedia presentations and high-quality professional development opportunities for staff. And the final one was culture and wellness, and develop resilience and grit in student staffing update. And he shared that out of the original 17 district openings, there are 3 that are currently unfilled. He also presented salary package information to address the remaining categories of district staff, including administrator, classified, and other contracted salaries. And I think we'll get that information later in today's meeting, so I won't go over it again. And then Mrs. Timmerman gave us a preschool strategic planning site update. She talked about improvements to bus transportation efficiency, strengthening community partnerships, including the diaper closet, Bridges Over Poverty, Circle of Security, Putting with a Purpose event, and also incorporating social emotional learning into regular operations of the school. That ends my report.
Okay, thank you, Doris. Next up, Americanism. Lisa.
The Americanism Committee met prior to our regularly scheduled meeting this evening, and the committee completed the following tasks. Confirm the district's social studies curriculum is aligned with NDE standards. Confirm that the district's social studies curriculum stresses the required patriotic themes. Confirm that the district's social studies curriculum includes a requirement in accordance with state law that high school students complete a written test, attend a public meeting, although those are now done via, I think,
Yes.
not in person, and then present or write a paper on an appropriate topic. Confirm that the curriculum approved by the committee is available for public inspection. Confirm that the district's social studies curriculum includes all required components in accordance with state law and NDE standards, including 1 hour per week of patriotic instruction for grade levels below 6th grade, a set amount of time to teach American history for grade levels 5th through 8th grade, and at least 2 courses in high school that teach American civics. And lastly, confirm that the district will conduct appropriate patriotic exercises for the following holidays: George Washington's birthday, Abraham Lincoln's birthday, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, Native American Heritage Day, Constitution Day, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and Thanksgiving Day. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Next up, Stan's report. Mr. Alexander.
Okay, Stan's had a regularly scheduled meeting Thursday, April 27th. Last week, we just had a Zoom checkup meeting. At the regularly scheduled in-person meeting, we were very fortunate to have some guests with us. The first one was Bryce Wilson from the Nebraska Department of Education. He's the finance coordinator for the entire state that oversees school finance at the department level. And basically, we asked Bryce to attend to give us an update on how he saw the governor's package that has been proposed at the Capitol to how it will impact state aid for the coming year and all the intricacies involved in it. And folks, it is very complicated, but to sum it up, the new package will involve different parts of revenue from 4 years going back as far as 2021 to calculate what the new package will be if the 80% special education reimbursement rate is approved. So all of these things are basically, they're putting together dependent upon the governor's package going through as presented and the special education reimbursement rate being set at the 80% that we've talked about. So it was a good update from Bryce. It very, very in detail, but so much of it just hinges on what happens. In June, typically, we have received a state certified number for state aid for next year. Typically that happens towards the end of April, 1st of May. So we've received that number, but we also know that number will change, and we're hoping to get it by the 1st of June, mid-June, and then also get our budget documents so we can start working on the budget. But we won't be able to do a lot of pre-work on budget materials until we get those, until we know what happens in the legislative session that ends May 31st, and then the department has time to develop all those budget documents to get out to us. So that's probably the biggest takeaway, is that we have ideas right now of what will happen, but nothing is solidified until the legislature is concluded and that's passed on to us. So we were fortunate to have Bryce be part of that meeting, and then also we had Dr. Delaney, Kyle McGowan, and Dr. Ernst from the NCSA provide us a legislative update. Basically, the legislative update came out to you via NASB, and I think I also attached documents to you where LB 705 was the main vehicle that shifts where how lottery funds are used and redistributes those to education. And then from that, there's 18 other bills attached on LB 705. So that is a big Christmas tree bill, and amendments, it's been discussed once on the floor, there were amendments kicked out. It did meet cloture vote, so it goes on to select file now, and there will be more discussion. I think tomorrow morning is when it comes up for its second round debate on the floor. So it just, a lot of what comes out of that depends on what the amendments are on the floor and how each bill is changed individually within it. But we anticipate it will pass tomorrow. So then we'll be able to start putting more meat on to what it is we will have to be required to be doing and what financial numbers might look like as well.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Any other questions on legislative bills? All right, next up, public forum citizens request for comments. And tonight we have one citizen requesting to address the board. Steph, you're up. When you get up here, please state your name and address, please.
My name and what, I'm sorry?
And address.
Okay. My name is Stephanie Belt, and I reside at 1502 Crestview Avenue here in Beatrice.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. I am here to discuss the topic of classified staff compensation, salary or wage increase, and I am really not here to debate anything. I just want to bring up just a few concerns and make sure I'm clear on what the new proposal actually is going to be. So I have met with Dr. Nielsen and Mr. Alexander and Mrs. Hipstra back there on 2 occasions, I think, back in October, and then over Christmas break. I kind of really discussed my concerns with all of them at those times, kind of on behalf, I guess I should tell you a little more about me. I'm a paraprofessional at Stoddard Elementary 3 through 5. I provide behavior support to the kids in our building, as well as all the other para things that we do. So I am kind of passionate about this topic, and I'm kind of here representing other paras that don't feel as comfortable coming and speaking with you all. Not all of them, I want that on the record. No, I'm not representing all of the paras, just some. So do I just kind of say what I need to say uninterrupted? All right, so I did take the time to watch the footage of the committee of the whole meeting that you all held on the 27th. I feel like I kind of mostly understand the pay scale, schedule, step system, although to begin with I feel like it's super confusing for all of us, but I feel like I get where you're going on that part. The thing that I want to make sure I'm really clear on is the part about the paid time off. I just want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. I'm a layman's terms kind of person, so I just want to make sure, because I would hate to repeat something I misunderstood. So to my understanding, you would be offering 1 day off per semester for classified staff. So 1 first semester, 1 second semester. Also, to my understanding, that it comes with a stipulation. So you would get this day off, and it's not a paid day off, it is an additional day of pay, right? So to my understanding, you would get this additional day of pay, say maybe at the end of the semester, I'm assuming, your last paycheck, I'm not quite sure on that part. But if you are absent more than 5 days in a semester, which is roughly like 90 days, I would say, if we are absent more than 5 days in one semester, we lose that additional day of pay. So it's kind of concerning to me because, to begin with, we have obviously no paid time off. Most of paraprofessionals are parents, have kids. I have 4 myself. I have one that has special needs. She's enrolled in our wonderful ACP program at Paddock. So, you know, even kids like her require several doctor's appointments in any given year. Several different doctors with several appointments. And like I'll mention, also several surgeries for mine just in particular that I can speak about. So I guess to say we only are gonna get 1 additional day of pay if we don't miss 5 days in a 90-day period. I feel like is, I guess I'll just say I feel like it's not much of a benefit to us. So that's that. And I did hear Mr. Alexander on the meeting, he said that I guess we would be given kind of a lax, like if we, I guess he can, I'm not very good at public speaking, so just let me try to get out what I'm trying to say. So we would have the opportunity to miss 5 days, and that would include missing no more than 30 minutes a day. I feel like, is that what I kind of understood? I'll let you get to that later. So just a few points, like I said, staff are parents, we have kids. You know, generally speaking, 30 minutes of time for an appointment that we'd have to go to just in Beatrice, you're looking at 30 minutes of just travel time and waiting time alone by the time kids picked up, drive out to the hospital now because all of the clinics are out there now. And then waiting time just before you're even seen for your appointment. We're talking 30 minutes at least, right? We all know, we've all gone to doctors and stuff. So those were kind of some concerns, and that's if, you know, appointments are in town. Like I said, my daughter has several appointments in Omaha, 1.5-hour drive one way. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Children's Hospital, but the waiting time there is, it's all on its own. It's ridiculous. So just something to bring up. At the meetings that I attended in October and January, it was brought to my attention that we classified staff as a benefit, as a perk, that we get built-in days off. Meaning, any day kids aren't in school, we are not required to come and work in the building, which is lovely, but we also don't get paid if we don't work, if we're not working hours, right? So, we get the built-in days off, and I guess then we should be using days like this for appointments and illnesses, I guess. So I guess if one of my kids wakes up on a Tuesday morning and has a fever, I guess I'm supposed to maybe see if they could hold off until one of our built-in days off, until my next day off. That's not reasonable, right? Kids are sick, we all have kids, they wake up sick, and there's nothing we can do about it, right? So the built-in days off are lovely, but it doesn't always work, you know, how we want them to. Let's see, Mr. Alexander brought up that he's seen comparables, like wage-wise, benefit-wise, from surrounding districts. I actually have those with me and provided them to Mr. Alexander in October. Mr. Alexander, sorry, I'm not trying to pick on you, you were just the one doing all the talking in the committee meeting. Stated that our district has a 25% special education population, and that alone increases the amount of people, staff, that we may have to have helping in categories like that. So, you know, we can't give too much of a raise because we have so many more staff, and special education alone makes up 25% of the student population in Beatrice, and they require more staff in their buildings for children like mine that have an IEP that require her to have a para with her at all times, or she will wander her little self off, and she's not very verbal, so it would be pretty disastrous if she were to, end up alone. So he's right, we do require more of these people in these rooms, but the fact is that we do not have them.
90 seconds left.
Oh my gosh, that's it?
10-minute mark.
Okay.
2 minutes.
So we don't have them, we should, but we don't. All the rooms are short-staffed. That's really whatever, if I had more time, but, lastly, Mr. Alexander is correct when he says that BPS offers a very family-friendly schedule. You do, it's amazing, we can come and go, we have a great schedule that, helps us that have children, but so does every other district when it comes to hourly staff. So I guess I'm just trying to understand what you are offering above and beyond that to retain your quality employees and to find new quality employees. I guess that's it. Am I good? Thanks. Okay.
Thanks, Steph.
Yep.
Okay, we will now move on to the action portion of the meeting. First up, approval of bus transportation fees for 2023-24 school year. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the bus transportation fee of $160 for the 2023-24 school year.
Thank you, Doris. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet. Dr. Nelson.
Moved up here. Okay, so for the 23-24 school year, we are looking at keeping transportation costs at $160 for students that do not qualify for free or reduced lunch, do not qualify for rural transportation, do not qualify for preschool transportation, or do not qualify for special education transportation. In the future, we know that we will look at probably increasing rates as we evaluate the increase of the cost of fuel and the total cost of transportation services. So at this point in time, we want to keep them the same, but probably next year or the year after that, we will look at making an increase.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. All right, next up, discuss, consider, and take all necessary action with regard to possible approval and authorization to execute an agreement with the City of Beatrice for proposed public infrastructure improvements adjacent to the new PK5 elementary site. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 hereby approves the agreement with the City of Beatrice, Nebraska relating to the design, construction, reimbursement of a portion of the cost for certain public infrastructure improvements adjacent to the new pre-K5 elementary school facility being constructed near 33rd and Lincoln Streets. Such agreement in the form on file with official school district records and as presented at this meeting or with such changes as are deemed necessary and in the best interest of the school district, and approved by the board president or superintendent of schools, and further hereby authorizes the board president to sign, execute, and deliver such agreement, and further hereby authorizes the superintendent of schools to pay all costs and expenses required or provided for under such agreement.
Okay, thank you, Doris. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. All right, discussion.
Basically, I'm just gonna be very quick and then turn it over to President Trustee, but I'm just gonna say I appreciate the city's proposal and working with us and their patience. One of the things that I think I would just like everyone to understand is that part of the reason the discussion took so long is because we had to figure out the gross maximum price of the building, and we also had to figure out the site map. And a lot of that involves engineers and trying to work through that process of developing what it is we need. So I know the time frame may not have been conducive to everybody's liking, but it was a situation where we had no choice but to get to that when we could. And we did around the 1st of February, or excuse me, the end of February, 1st of March. And we had a couple meetings with the city and they came back to a proposal with us. So I'll turn it over to you at that point.
Yep, just to kind of summarize what the proposal is with the city. So obviously the partnership between the City of Beatrice, Beatrice Public Schools, and what we were looking at is street improvements on Lincoln Street and 33rd Street, which essentially is around the new elementary building. And again, we did a traffic study that was conducted by JEO. And within that study, they talk about, warrants, recommendations, and so forth. And a lot of the things within the traffic study didn't necessarily have a warrant, but more of recommendations. Then we also come into City of Beatrice code around these types of projects. So that's where we did see the need for some turn lanes on both of those areas that we're talking about. So the improvements will include reconstruct surface from asphalt to concrete, obviously, add storm sewers, add right turn lanes to Lincoln Street, add a center turn lane on Lincoln Street, add right turn lane on 33rd Street, add center turn lane on 33rd Street, and add a roundabout at 33rd and Lincoln Street, which is essentially on the corner and then also would go into the BSDC and Whispering Pines area. Now with this, the project funding, there will be estimated project cost for the street improvements is $4.3 million. And that will be split 60-40 with the city. So 60% the city will take on and 40% the school will take on. So approximately $2.58 million for the city and $1.72 million for the school district. With this, the city will provide the upfront funding for the entire project, and then the Beatrice Public Schools will pay off their portion of the improvements over 20 years at a 0% interest rate on a monthly basis. So approximately $3,000 per month would be paid to the city of Beatrice. Within this, the city is offering credits towards our share, which include some of the funds that we've already spent, which is for water infrastructure improvements for the site, the actual building permit, and then the other piece of this is the properties of the current elementary buildings would be turned over to the city of Beatrice. With the improvements or what the city determines to do with the properties, if there is sale of those properties that is above and beyond the credit for that, then that sale, the profits would also be credited back to the school district, which would lower our total cost within that. And again, we talked about repayment, 20 years at 0% interest. And then if there are any grants that are given to the city and or the school for these street improvements, again, that same profit or that same cost share would lower the school district's overall cost within that. I just have to echo what Mr. Alexander just mentioned is I truly believe this is a good partnership with the city. It did take a little bit of time and some meetings, and we were had some very productive meetings with the mayor and a few of the city council members, along with Tobias Templemeyer and James Burrow, city engineer. So I was very excited with, very pleased with the proposal that they brought forth. The city council did approve this at last Monday's city council meeting. So now it's up to us to have that discussion here and decide if we would approve and move forward with the proposal. Any questions, comments from the board?
Just to clarify, it's not Whispering Pines, it's Whispering Winds.
Whispering Winds, sorry.
So don't call me tomorrow, ask me right, it's not Whispering Pines.
Eric, is there a timeline that we might know about those grants? I mean,
No, the city has, they've submitted a number of grants, and it's very similar with the grants we submit. We just don't know.
Okay.
They're usually a very long process and a long timeline.
okay.
But there are some potential out there that could definitely lower this cost.
Less than 20 years.
Any other questions, comments?
I'd just like to make a comment. I think this is a very fair deal on both sides, and the city and BPS can, take a step in the right direction. And I'm very excited about this, and I think the mayor mentioned, he said, by doing this, we're doing it the right way the first time. And we're not doing it a little here and there. We're working together on this. I think this is a great thing for our community. So.
I think one other point that I did not mention is, with this, the city is not going to be issuing any new bonds, tax increases, and so forth to fund this project. Okay, any other Seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. All right, thank you. Next up, approval of the Interlocal Cooperation Act Agreement for a Technology Coordinator with ESU 5 for the 2023-24 school year. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the Interlocal Cooperation Act Agreement with ESU 5 for a technology coordinator for the 2023-24 school year.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Mr. Alexander.
Not a whole lot to add to this. It's predominantly what we've been doing for the past 3 years. This is the third year of entering into the agreement with ESU 5 that would involve them providing the hardware, and they do some software management for us for the district. So it's worked out very well the past 3 years, or 2 years, and I would recommend that we continue along this agreement path with ESU 5.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, approval of the Interlocal Cooperation Act Agreement for Alternative Education Program with ESU 5 for the 23-24 school year. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the Interlocal Cooperation Act Agreement with ESU 5 for 2023-24.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Again, Mr. Alexander.
Yeah, same type of deal, formality. We've been working with ESU 5 to provide an alternative education spot. They have the building, and they also have some personnel out there that are readily, handily available. We provide the predominant resource, or the personnel out there to oversee the alternative education program. So it works really well for us to have that spot and that location to provide an alternative education for students who may not fit into the regular workday schedule, school day schedule. They may have work commitments or be living by themselves and needing to work at a full-time job and attend school there while they can. So it works really well for us to provide that site at ESU 5, so I recommend we continue that.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, approval of the contract with Logan Spilker, Renee Mitchell, and Chelsea Yokel, speech language pathologists for the 23-24 school year. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the contracts with Logan Spilker, Renee Mitchell, and Chelsea Yokel, speech language pathologists for the 2023-24 school year.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Mrs. Hoekstra.
So sorry, I'm gonna throw a wrench in that. Jason, I was thinking you were talking about our OT contract. Logan Spilker actually has not returned her signed contract. We've talked through everything. She verbally agreed. She just hasn't returned it yet. So, do we need to table Logan?
I would recommend that we approve the contract tonight, and then if she doesn't sign it, then we'll have to
Okay,
go a
because
different route.
we've agreed to everything. It's just I don't have a signed copy.
Yeah.
So Logan, this year is 5 days a week. She's 3 days at the middle school, 1 day at Bertha 3 and 1 day at the high school. Next year with our preschool SLP taking another position, Logan's gonna slide into preschool, so she'll do preschool and Bertha 3, which makes sense to work in the two ages closely together. Renee Mitchell is a new hire. She will be here 5 days a week. So she will take the 3 days at the middle school and then 2 days at Paddock Lane. And Chelsea, cannot pronounce her last name.
Yokel.
No, it's
not that.
I've asked her multiple times and it's anyway. Chelsea is gonna be 0.6, so 3 days a week, and she will be at Paddock Lane.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Are there any high school students that need these services? Did you say that they go to high school ever?
Yes, so we have, Logan was 1 day a week at the high school. In our ESU 5 agreement, we've contracted 1 day with them, so the ESU SLP that we contract for 0.2 will do the high school next year.
And
It's a lot of puzzle pieces putting stuff together, yeah.
So all elementary students that need these services go to Paddock Lane?
No, these are just, the contracted people happen
Okay.
to be set at Paddock Lane, yeah. We have SLPs in every building. Some of them are on a teacher contract, and a few of them choose to go the service provider route, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, approval of the contract with Emily Zarbanicki, occupational therapist for the 23-24 school year.
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approves the contract with Emily Zarbanicki, occupational therapist for the 2023-24 school year.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric.
So this is Emily's second year with us. We previously had OT paras in the district, but we moved to having a part-time OT with us, so we're just continuing her contract next year. That's worked out really well.
Any questions, comments? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, approval of classified staff salary schedule, wages, and benefits for 23-24 school year. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approves the classified staff salary schedule and a 5.41% total package increase for classified staff wages for the 2023-24 school year.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Mr. Alexander.
Okay, so as discussed earlier and as presented at the committee of the whole meeting, you have in front of you a couple different documents. First, the executive summary. You also have the newly proposed salary schedule for 23-24, which includes multiple changes. So I'm going to try and highlight those things as quickly as possible. You've already heard it once, but essentially just a reminder that certified staff negotiated an increase of total budget impact of $500,761. This package for classified staff will represent $199,672. Other contracted was $10,005, and then administrators were $57,776. So that grand total came to $768,215 and 45 cents for next year that we'd be approving tonight if we do that. In regards to classified staff, these are all the people that are support staff in the district that do tremendous things and make our school day operate and function extensively. So we appreciate all that they do. Our average increase over the past 5 years for classified staff in these categories has been 2.83%. This proposal is a 5.41% total package increase. So it's the largest increase that's been given in the 5 years that I've been here. I think it is an honest attempt to do a couple things. Number one, reward and offer our appreciation to those people and meet strategic plan goal number 3, which is recruit, hire, and retain high-quality staff. And so it's first designed to do that, and secondly, as we talked about before, Initiative 433 that was approved in November, this is an attempt to get to that $15 per hour minimum before we get there. Obviously, it's a situation where if we did that all at once, we wouldn't be able to afford that. So it's important that we stagger it and get there as we can do so. So hopefully we'll be able to make more progress towards that next year. Revisions to the new hourly pay schedule. The hourly pay schedule is set up very similar to what it is for teachers' salary schedule. It's a little bit different from the standpoint that it doesn't have credits awarded for extra schooling. That's part of what teachers are required to do to move across their pay scale. This pay scale is basically based on where you start and where you max out at. And what we have found is that it's a pay scale that has a built-in reward incentive raise every year for staff that stay with us. They can grow and earn more money if they stay with us, And hopefully that means that they will stay with us a longer period of time. But it needed to be revamped. The last time it had seen a revision, this was created in 1991, and it had never seen a revision, and it was pretty antiquated. So we spent a lot of time, as I said, Jackie Bornemeyer and myself, trying to revamp this to make it reflect, number one, the jobs and the descriptions that our staff in these categories, to make it reflect those job descriptions more appropriately compared to today than they were in 1991. And number two, to put people into categories, or to categorize those positions more accurately in terms of what their job responsibilities are. So I think we accomplished that. The pay step minimum on every level was pretty much increased. So that was one way of addressing starting people at a higher rate, which we know we needed to do to be competitive, not only with other schools, but also in the market, and also to increase the maximum step at which people could, if they stayed with us, could make as their years went on and they gained years of experience, just like teachers do every year. So that was all adjusted to, that resulted in everyone on the salary schedule receiving at least a 35-cent per hour increase, and those that have been here the longest receiving a $1.30 per hour increase. So it just depends on where they fall on the salary schedule, what step they're on and how long they've been with us, what their increase will be. We did also add the additional service year steps, where a person that stays with us for up to 16 years gets an additional 2.5% service year recognition. At 21 or 5 more years later, they get a 50% increase, and so forth. You can see those at the bottom of the schedules, or excuse me, 5%, not 50%. That'd be a lot. 5%. Thank you. So those are built in to try and retain those employees that stay with us for many, many years. And we have 26 employees that fit into that category. So there are people that have stayed with us for a very long time, and we want to recognize that and in appreciation of their service to the school district. So the other new incentive that you heard a little bit about tonight, and just for clarification, it's an additional day of pay for those that meet an attendance requirement. And what we tried to do with this, the rationale behind this, was to create a win-win situation. Because right now, we don't have any paid days off for our classified, for our 9-month employees. So those are the school year employees that work from August to the end of the school year, mid-May, whatever that is. So we don't have a whole lot of benefits for them. So we looked at what we could do and try for a year and see how it works. But we also wanted to try and increase the attendance rate at which those people come to work, and make that a win-win scenario, so it gives some incentive to that person. So it's a max of 1 per semester. So if they meet that attendance requirement, don't miss more than 5 days as a full-time employee, then they get an extra day of pay in their January paycheck, which comes right after holidays. So we thought that was a good time to do that. And then an additional day of pay at the end of the school year if meeting those requirements, same requirements. And it's broken out by how many hours they're scheduled within the day as to how many times they can miss. So there's some sort of equation there with it. So that is what we approved for classified staff. You have other contracted here in the next, and you also have administrative salaries. Well, I've got you, so I don't have to talk anymore. I'm going to talk about those real quick. Other contracted employees, basically there's about a handful of those, or half a dozen of those in our district. They're in supervisory or quasi-supervisory roles. Their increase this year equates to a 3.73% package, or $10,005. And then finally, administrators that have required teaching administrative certificates and advanced degrees. We talked about how it was important for us to get everybody to a midpoint and remain more competitive. So we tried to do that with the administrators that are not at midpoint in their array. And then we also have some that are above. So we thought, well, we need to look at cost of living, so 2.5% for them. So total package increase on that was 4.13%. I'll take questions if there are any.
Jason, can you clarify one question that also I believe Steph had? With those days that, with the 5 days you can miss, is it, if, for example, you're out for 3 hours in an afternoon, is it counted by hours, or does that then equate to one full day missed?
We'll track it by hours.
Okay.
Yep, so if someone misses 30 minutes, we're not even gonna count that, because we understand that life happens, kids get sick, you gotta take them somewhere, whatever the case may be. For an appointment, you gotta leave 30 minutes earlier, you're 30 minutes late getting there. We understand that, so we won't even count, but the rest of everything will be tracked by hours.
Okay, thank you.
I think the other thing is you're looking at, in a school year, they can miss 10 days or 5 in the first semester, 5 in the second, is that correct?
Correct.
That's very comparable to what we do with our certified staff, where they have 5 days of paid time off and 6 days of sick time. So they have 11 days that they can be gone, and to me it's very comparable doing it that same way. Am I looking at that correctly?
Yes, it's very, very comparable, and it's something that we came up with. That's not to say in a year we won't reevaluate and come up with something different, but that's what we landed on this year.
I think one thing too is appreciate the work being done with this, to get us closer to that initiative 433, which will come in effect in a couple of years, to that $15 minimum. But I think the other thing too that we got to look at is, what is our local market here in Beatrice versus, not necessarily comparing to, other school districts outside where that local employment market is much different than what we're dealing with here. So I think this definitely helps in that scenario. Can we continue as a board to look to continue to look at this year in and year out, which I think we need to make sure we're competitive and we can, again, hire and retain qualified staff to help our teachers and buildings and students throughout the year.
The other thing is, I think Engage, as you stated, is doing a wage study of the local businesses, and I think that will be very helpful when we look at it again next year.
Yeah, I talked to Rachel it was either last week or the week before, and she said that they were working on it. So.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. All right, next up, approval of other contracted staff wages and benefits for 23-24 school year. Can I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve a 3-point.
It would be people who are in quasi-supervisory roles. An example of that would be food nutrition specialist, head maintenance, director of buildings,
Okay.
those people.
Thank you. Any questions, comments on the other contracted staff wages? Okay, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, approval of administrator salaries and benefits for 23-24. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve a 4.13% total package increase in administrators' salaries and benefits for the 2023-24 school year.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Any other further comments, questions around administrative salaries? Okay, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Okay, thank you. Administrators' reports. We will start with special education.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a lot of data, but we're not gonna talk about it all. But it'll be good data for you guys to have. So look at, when you're asleep at night, doors. So you should have you'll have two documents.
And it is in color.
It is, because it needed to be, I know I thought about not doing it in color, but
It's okay with that.
with graphs, it's kind of hard to see different shades of gray.
Yeah.
And Andrew did it, so. So, okay, so looking at the larger document, the staple document, this is just an overall summary of special education numbers, services, verifications in our district. I don't know how familiar everyone is with our special ed population. So if you look at the first couple pages, this is district data. So this is all kids in special education from birth to ages 21 in Beatrice. And you'll see that right now we have a total of 535 students. And that first graph, it's broken down in by building, so you can see how many verified students there are at each level. And then the next graph, and I numbered the slides, but some of them numbered and some of them didn't. I don't know why.
Beth, can I ask a quick question? How does this total number of special education students compare to other like districts? Are we significantly higher, significantly kind of right in the middle?
We are, Southeast Nebraska in general is higher, like the state average is 14 to 16 depending on the year, percent, and like we're 25. So we are typically higher than other like districts.
Thank you.
The next graph is just the verification breakdown, if you're curious as to what types of disabilities our students have. And then I did include the student assistance team referrals, just because this year we had almost double what we typically get in a year, which is concerning. We've completed 58 student assistant team referrals, and we still have 36 in process, which is a lot when we're this late in the year. So that will be difficult to get those done, but staff are working hard to make that happen. I did include the SAT information because we'll talk a little bit more later. It does impact potential future numbers and staffing needs. After the district level breakdown, the majority of this document is broken out by birth to 3, preschool, Lincoln, Stoddard, Paddock, middle, high, some peripheral information in there too. So basically I just did the same information for each building level, so it's a little easier to look at a smaller window. And if you would flip to the second to last page, it looks like this. I just included our numbers for the last 6 years. And I used August and December counts going back to 2017. And if you look at all the August numbers, we're typically 509, 510, 508. We start out around that same number each year. By December, we've increased, but then when August rolls around of the next school year, we're back down to pretty much where we were. At the end of the chart, I did add May in there, just so you can see, we've added 27 students since August. And with all of the special ed referrals, we still have 36 to complete. If 70%, which is about what we're averaging on qualifying, if 70% of those kids qualify for services, that's 26 more students. Those are all, the ones left to test are pre-K, pre-K. They're grades pre-K through 5. So what we'll see is increased needs at our elementary level, which is also why we have an anticipated elementary resource teacher position open to help address these needs. Paddock Lane and Stoddard, their resource caseloads, which is typically where the majority of the kids left to be tested would go, that and speech. Paddock Lane and Stoddard resource caseloads are already at capacity. They're actually a little higher than we like to have them, so we don't want to add more stress and work there.
So if a parent comes with a child, do we send them to a different school then?
anyone that moves into our district, we are required to meet their needs, whatever they are. Whether we have staffing or programs or space, we have to figure it out.
I see. But if someone from out of district asks to come, then do we say yes? And I'm not talking about people who move in, I'm just asking
Yeah, so if
option students.
if someone wanted to option in and they have an IEP, we need to look at their IEP and what services they need, and then we look at the numbers of that program to see if we have room or not. Individualized on their needs.
Isn't one of the bills in the legislature to, that we would not have that ability to, we essentially have to accept all, right?
Yes, that's kind of how it is. It's interesting because there are amendments to that bill right now, so we'll see what comes out as a final product. But we still could set program capacities, which we talked about in a committee of the whole meeting a while back. So we still have that ability, but your abilities to deny option enrollment are decreased significantly in that bill.
You guys have any questions? I know that's a lot of information to look at in a short amount of time.
Are there areas that are growing faster than others or needs that are?
The majority of the referrals are speech and resource, and/or resource, yeah. So that's very typical.
Is speech increasing?
Mhm. Yeah.
Do we know why that is?
I don't. I don't know why speech would increase. I mean, that's typically our articulation, so that's usually pretty steady referrals. We did have a high amount of referrals from St. Joe and St. Paul, higher than usual as well, so.
I just saw a news story that talked about that speech overall in the country is, those needs are increasing.
Would you speak just briefly about your hiring and where you're at? And we're preparing to provide a full update to you at the May committee of the whole meeting, but we're still in the process of trying to find a few needles in the haystack, like
Right.
they say. So go ahead.
So we needed a eighth grade resource teacher and a high school resource teacher. Last year, we ended up filling about eight to nine special ed positions. We had applications to choose from. This year, we had much fewer positions to fill and not much at all for applications. So we had to get a little creative. In sixth grade, we are having Debbie Tim come back. She retired last year I keep saying sixth grade. She was a sixth grade teacher. It's an eighth grade opening. She's coming back to help next year in a 0.6 capacity. So she'll be here 3 days a week. She is really going to serve more as a coordinator role as opposed to a hands-on teacher. She's going to take over all the paperwork, the scheduling for all of the resource students at the middle school. So she'll do 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then we will be able to use the teachers, the 6th and 7th grade teachers, instead of doing their paperwork. They'll have more time to provide services to the students. So it's not necessarily ideal, but that was the best option that we could come up with to meet everybody's needs. And then the high school is a little interesting. Dennis Dodge is coming back to fill up an opening. We're moving City West into the alternate curriculum program. And so Dennis Dodge will take over the sophomores, which is a position that he had when he was here before. And then Tiffany McQuigg got moved in. She's moving into family and consumer science. So in her place, we've hired, or we're working on hiring Jessica Schmalley, who is, she's working for LPS right now as a behavior interventionist, so she will take over as the junior and senior caseload. So.
Thank you.
Yes. This last piece of paper is just, it's kind of fun. After we do an IEP meeting and the paperwork comes down here, we send a survey out to parents who have attended the meeting and ask the questions. If you, this bottom right one, I tried to, all the questions didn't fit in here, so on this bottom one, you can read it a little better, it's a little more complete. But this is the response from parents who completed the survey. We want a low score, we want 1s or 2s, because that means they strongly agree. 3 would be a neutral opinion, 4 would be disagree, and 5 would be strongly disagree. So you can see, I broke it down again, Bertha 3, preschool, Lincoln, Paddock, Stoddard, middle and high, and then the last one is the district average. And we are averaging 2s or below on almost everything.
That's parent feedback. What about foster kids, kids who
So,
are by the state?
yeah, so if the student has an IEP and they have a foster parent and the foster parent attended the IEP meeting, they're the guardian, then they receive this. So this isn't just biological parents, it's who's ever legally in charge of that student. Yeah. So some might be grandparents, some might be aunts. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Beth. Next up, superintendent report from Mr. Alexander.
Okay, so first and foremost, I want to just extend, I've had the opportunity to attend the Beatrice Education Foundation Scholarship ceremony for seniors, and I also had the opportunity to attend the Seniors Award Night the other night. And I just want to say thank you to the Beatrice Educational Foundation, and thank you to our high school administration, counselors, staff, Sherry Collison, and making both of those events tremendously fun and informative and terrific events to recognize our seniors. To cap that off, at the award ceremony Saturday night, our seniors have earned $1.1 million worth of scholarships thus far. Those are the ones that we were aware of. There will still be more that come in as the school year comes in. So at graduation, you may hear a different number. But that's pretty impressive that this group of students has tasked themselves with going after the money that's out there to help them in their future endeavors. So Riley's one of those. Congratulations to our seniors on an awesome job, and thank you to those organizations for recognizing the hard work of our seniors. We had an alley cap visit this week with Matt Fisher, interim superintendent at Grand Island Public Schools, who also serves as our alley cap representative. He was here last Friday to do a workman's comp. That's where we have that's where we get our workman's comp insurance through. So he did a safety visit last week. He's sent us back a report. We'll be covering that. Primarily, Rhonda Pieper and I will cover that and make adjustments as necessary. So we'll be talking about that in the future as well. Graduation, as Riley mentioned, May 21st at 3 o'clock. The underclassmen award ceremony, do you know what day that is?
I don't know, sorry.
It's coming up. I just want to take a minute to explain the reason why we do it from 11:30 to 1 o'clock in the middle of the day. And that is because in the evening time, in the past and pre-COVID, it didn't seem like we got a lot of underclassmen student attendance at the awards ceremony. So this was a way to make sure that the kids get recognized at that. They're all there. They get recognized in front of all their peers, and parents are welcome to attend. They get an invitation to come as well. But that's the reason why it's done that way. It was a change that we made after the pandemic, and it's really been well received by staff and students because everyone's there to see the awards they get. Finally, congratulations to all the students and staff. We're close to making it through the 22-23 school year. We want to just take a minute and wish everyone a safe and happy summer as we close up. And then I have a building update that I just want to provide for you that's quick, and because I know you've got things to do, but I just wanted to provide a quick update for you. I was at the Educational Service Unit 5 tonight at 5 o'clock and gave them this presentation with a little bit more. We skipped the groundbreaking ceremony for you tonight, but wanted you to see some of the drone flyover that we did and talk to you a little bit about the schedule moving forward. So hopefully you can hear it.
As the drone approaches from the south, you can see where the crane sits will be the main entry of the building from the south facing view, and will be where predominantly everybody enters the building from the south side. The beams that are erected represent the kitchen common with 5 preschool classrooms attached, and then as we start to work our way around to the east side where the masons are putting the block on, represents the other half of the preschool that's been built. The far east is the 6 classroom and the entry on the far northeast corner. As we swing around to the north side of the building, the back side, you start to get a view of what it all looks like, including the gym box that's been erected. And as we swing in from the west side, you start to see where the footprint of the building has steel to be erected. The elevator shaft in the middle, crane on the right represents the south main entry, and where the steel beams meet up with the gym on the left is the north side entry. This is a ground level pan view of the preschool that's been erected so far. There's still some preschool classrooms to be added on. And then, of course, the main entry with the elevator shaft sticking up there. As we enter a portion of the preschool that's been built, this represents about 5 classrooms and an occupational therapy office that will be in this section. On the back side of the building, from a ground level pan view of the northeast corner to the northwest corner, you can see the size of the building, and then we enter from a northwest entry to see the gym floor has been poured, which is a good measure of progress for us at this point. On the outside west side of the building, we pan from the west, see the elevator shaft, and then out to the northwest corner where they are putting in the geothermal well field at this time.
Okay, so that's just kind of an update. We have some, that's the flyover. We have some progress pictures. We'll go through those fairly quickly. The inside structure, that you saw that once before. That's the preschool section on the right that's completed so far. That also doubles as the FEMA shelter. The picture on the left is the north, or it's from the northeast corner looking back towards the south. So essentially what you're looking at is where parents will enter into the building, and the 6 classroom is at the other end. That big opening into the building is where the entrance into the preschool will be. Moving on, you have the elevator shaft that you're looking at on the right and on the left. And from that, you can see that's the outside of the preschool building that's been erected, and then the inside of the gym, still picture of what it looks like inside of there. The next picture on the left is just basically that was us standing in the hallway looking back to the west. So what you're looking at is the hallway and all the way down to the very end where you can barely see a white stake, or that white pickup is about the end of the building. So there's a lot of steel that needs to go up yet, but they're really moving quickly. Then on the right side, that is a look at basically part of the commons area where students will sit during lunch, and those 2 doors on the right side is the kitchen servery. Kids will go in there, get their food, freshly cooked food that I would like to add, that will be healthy and that will meet the needs of our students, and they'll get their food, and then they'll come out and there'll be tables there that they will sit at. And then the gym is the wall over on the left side there. So schedule updates real quick, like structural steel is supposed to be done by the end of May. First week of June, I know that the steel contractor has a job that he needs to be to in the first week of June, so he's very motivated to get it done. There will be a topping out beam ceremony that we will be in contact with you about, in which we will sign the last beam to go up, and that will be up there forever. So we'll be inviting our Board of Education, ESU 5 board, our partners that helped us get this done, and Depending on when that falls, we'll be inviting some staff and possibly some students to come to that as well. So that's on the forefront. The well field is to be completed by the end of June. It takes 3 days to drill one well. So that's a pretty extensive process, but they're hoping to be done with that by the end of June. And then all the large slab concrete pour work has started, as you saw with the gym. The next portion will be the preschool, and then they'll move their way back up towards the west as it works. So that will happen throughout the entire summer, and hopefully the weather holds and we get just enough rain to keep things moving along and water the crops. The last thing is the street improvements we already talked about, so I'll leave it open for questions at this point. Again, we use this tonight to talk to the SU 5 board. We're gonna use this to talk to teachers as well in a week when we meet with staff. So, any questions? It goes without noting that I have a face for radio and a voice to put people to sleep, so I will probably find someone else to narrate the next drone flyover, but it's the best we could do at this point. All right.
Have they encountered any supply chain issues with construction materials?
As of right now, no. We've been very fortunate. The steel actually arrived 2 days early, so that was good. We hope that continues to be the norm.
Anything else for the good of the cause?
That's all I have.
All right. Notification of next meeting. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be June 12th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the Administration Building. The Committee of the Whole meeting will be May 25th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the Administration Building. An agenda for the meeting, which shall be kept continually current, is readily available for public inspection at the Superintendent's office during normal business hours. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And your votes, please. We are adjourned.
Sorry, normally it's 5 minutes.
So you're not really
No, it was, we only had you on there, so we're like, you know what, we'll give you a little extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jackie B will be sitting that out. Once we get, yes,